I'll tell you what, today I'm thankful that I live under grace and not under law. Today is day 66, and I'm reading from Numbers chapter 28 through 30. These chapters highlight the role of worship. Now, you may have missed this, but the whole concept of these chapters has to do with your worship to God. God outlines the feasts, the laws, the religious calendars, but God is preparing his people. You see, they're getting ready and they're about to enter into the land that he has promised them. He's getting word out in advance, and he's reminding them every day of the year is to be bookmarked with worship, except the Day of Atonement. But each of these other feasts and celebrations and on this religious calendar is a day or a time of worship. A sacrifice in the morning and a sacrifice in the evening. Genesis 1:1, it's interesting. Actually, it's in the reverse of how we measure time. When God created the heavens and the earth, he says the evening and the morning were the first day. And this seems to be the measurement that God is using here. The sacrifices to be given in the evening and in the morning. It's why their Sabbath begins at sunset, where all work ceased. They didn't do any more harvesting. They didn't do any more traveling. Everything came to an abrupt stop. And that's still true today in Judaism. They practice the Sabbath, and it begins on Friday evening and carries on until the next evening. We can hardly get through a law. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. The Sabbath wasn't just a day to do nothing. It was a day of reconnecting with God. It requires two sacrifices on the Sabbath, the evening sacrifice and the morning sacrifice. This isn't seen as work, but it's worship. It was an act of worship that reconnected his people to God. Sacrifices require us to give. We bring the first fruit. We bring of our best. We surrender something of value to God. And in the means of doing that, we're trusting this God to make provision for us, that in giving of the top, he's going to repay us back. You see, the tithe is giving God of the tenth, whether that's the first fruit or the best that you have, but it's giving God a tenth of all that you have. And rest is also this aspect of giving God a tenth of your time and trusting that God will redeem the time. While we are no longer under the law of the Sabbath, there certainly are rich benefits that you and I are able to apply to our lives. Three of them I can think of. The day of rest is a designated day to worship God, to replenish our reserves, to be refreshed, to be restored. This is the shadow that we find in God establishing this special day. The New Testament, secondly, clearly speaks that through Jesus Christ, we have entered our rest. Now, we're no longer under that law, and the Hebrew writer tells us that we have entered a rest of God. That is that picture of what God had established through the command not to work on the seventh day. And then thirdly, we can benefit from a special day in which we intentionally and deliberately set it aside as a day of worship and a day of rest. I was raised under such a beautiful experience. On this special day of worship, we would do nothing. We didn't harvest. We didn't go to restaurants. We didn't engage in recreational sports. We went to worship. We gathered with the people of God. We came home. We would spend time in the Word. We would spend time with the family. Then we would go back later in the day and we would enter in with worship again with the people of God. It became a very special experience for me of really pursuing God, free of all the clutter and all the distractions. Out of all the 10 commandments, there are two that God seems to keep reiterating and repeating. One, you shall have no other gods before me. And secondly, remember that rest. I challenge you to set a day aside, make it different, clear the clutter, rest and worship God, and make that a highlight of the week. Finally, we're shown how important vows are to God. Don't make rash promises to God out of emotion. God, if you get me out of this mess, I'll go to church every single day of the year. Those are things that we tend to do that are not from the heart, but they're just impulsive things, but we don't really mean it. Understand the power of a vow and fulfill it. There are great rewards in the vow, but there are great consequences also. In Scripture, every word is weighty, and we're even told we will be held in account for every idle word we speak here at the judgment seat of Christ. I'll tell you something I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for grace. We're not under law, we're under grace, and by grace we are saved.